good people. Listen, listen. Some of y'all out there, some of y'all have lost yourself in your relationship or in your marriage. You know why? Because you became a mother, a father, right? Right? Entrepreneur, protector, provider. But guess what, good people? None of those are your identity. That's just your titles. So today in this episode, we're going to talk to you about how you can get lost. Ain't that right, babe?
That's right.
In a long-term relationship, right? How you can lose your identity because you think titles become your identity. And titles are just responsibility. So yeah, man, we about to get into it today live. And bring your questions, babe. Babe, you ready to do this? Man, this is a live edition of the Married Life Good People. Welcome back. This is the Married Life podcast. I'm one of your hosts, FL, your life coach. And this is my boo thing.
Chandra.
Look, she keep getting better and better. Look, and this is the Married Life podcast, good people, where we recognize our patterns in our relationship, right? Regulate our body through that, get a new revelation on what to do different, right? Build a rhythm around that new revelation and different, and put it on repeat mode. So we can do what, babe?
Fly.
You gotta fly together. This is 27 years in, good people. So listen. I want to set this up and say this before we jump right into it, right? I wrote this down. Provision is responsibility. Motherhood is responsibility. Marriage is a commitment, but none of those are your identity. That's what we talking about today. Yeah, we talking about that identity, good people. So, man, you ready to get into it, babe?
Let's do it.
Look, man, we just about to jump right into it, good people. The first part we want to talk about how people lose themselves in their marriage or relationship, right? They lose their identity in marriage. I wrote down parenthood, going through survival mode moments, right? Becoming the role instead of the identity. I'm gonna talk about that again. Becoming the role instead of identity. So, babe, let's just jump in. So you just talk to them about, let's talk about the mother role first. Did you ever feel that your identity became just a mother when we start having kids? Because, you know, we got four. Well, we have four of them. But did you ever feel like that was just your identity, is just being a mother?
Yeah, I'm really still trying to, process that, because now that the boys are getting older, they're less dependent on me in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I lost it a lot when they were babies, growing, as long as, they're depending on me for everything, So right now I'm still kind of going through finding myself again, because they are getting older. They're more independent now. Yeah. And not depending on me as much, except I do still hear mom every day.
Yeah, every day. I'll be like, boy, stop calling your mama.
But as they're getting older, I know I need to find myself again. That's one thing we talked about this weekend.
It was.
Making sure I get back on track with who I am, and not my responsibility and role as a mother.
No, man, that's real. And that even works for us guys as the father, because I've had to work myself through some of those, not attaching my identity to the role of being a father or provider or protect, because I do think those are roles and responsibilities for every man. Provider, protector, I talk about something called the 5 P's of a regulated man, and that's 2 of them, but that's not who I am. You see what I'm saying? So we got to be careful, like wifey saying, you want to be great parents, but that's not who you are.
Right.
Before you became a parent, guess what? You was a human. Who is that person? That's that identity, right? So, kind of like with wifey, the provision part, like I said, to go with that, now that I'm a father, right? It's been times in my life over the course of this journey to where I've attached my identity to that. So meaning that if I felt like I'm not providing in the way that I should, then I feel like I'm less than. And that's not true. That's not my identity, So babe, just talk a little bit more about, I wrote this down from a religion standpoint, how we had to deconstruct that, right? And how religion shapes your thought processes, and it also shapes your identity. So just talk about how some of that shaped your identity in the early part of our marriage on how you thought you should be.
Right. I mean, it definitely shaped like me feeling like my life was really not about my life,
Yeah.
but my life was about serving my children and my husband. And I felt like, I would feel guilty, like to do anything other than those two things, taking care of you or taking care of the kids. I was like, I can't really do that no more.
Yeah.
But that wasn't true. It was just something that, I don't know, I guess it was kind of instilled in me through religion, growing up and, when we were heavy into it, it was like, oh gosh, I just have to be the mother and the wife, and that's all I could be right now. I mean, that is my role. No. That's how religion made me feel.
No, real talk.
So I concentrated on that, and anytime I try to do anything other than that, I would feel guilty. So I'm still trying to break that. That's still like something I'm trying to come out of, because it was in my brain so much. I'm just trying to realize who I am, what do I want to do, what are, kind of finding myself all over again, then going through perimenopause. I mean, it's just, whole nother level.
No, man, that's real good, people. What she's saying, we both had to detach our identity from that religion and deconstruct that. For me, it was a little bit different. The man is the head of the household. I attached my identity to that. So what do I mean by that? That means if anything went wrong in my household, it made me feel a certain way. It made me feel like I was a nobody. It made me feel like I wasn't good enough because maybe my wife didn't do what I wanted her to do, or maybe, the boys didn't do what I wanted them to do. And that's not true. That's not who I am. Right. That's not my identity, good people. My household is my responsibility. That's not my identity. Right? A father is a title.
Yes.
That's not my being. Before I was a father, I was me.
And it's so easy to get lost in that.
Yeah.
I mean, because it is your everyday life. Being a spouse and being a parent is your everyday life. So you can really get caught up in, I feel like you could really just get caught up in that, like I did personally, and it's just going to take time to relearn myself. Basically.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it. Because when you go through life, this 27 years in, this is almost 3 decades, like we tell people, you're going to be unlearning and relearning.
Man.
This is the problem that I see in 20 plus years in personal development. We've coached relationships, all that, individual. People do the learning part, but they forget the unlearning part. You got to unlearn that shit that don't serve you no more, good people. See, people understand you got to keep growing and learning, but they forget to unlearn because your nervous system only goes back to what it remembers and what's familiar. So that stuff that you learned early on, it might not be serving you right now, right? And you got to stop attaching your identity, your worth, to the outcome, right? So another part, man, before we get to the next part, for men, a lot of identity pressure is success, like I said, provider, leadership, right? So for me, being a husband, father, being the leader of my household, like I said, I teach something called the 5 P's of a regulated man: priest, prophet, promoter, protector, provider. I don't got time to go into all that, right? But for me, in my own home, that brings about leadership, brings about a certain pressure, right? But that's a responsibility. That's not my identity.
So what do you feel like, what would you say to really separate the responsibility from identity? Like, what would you say, like, how to start working on that, I guess? Like,
to separate that?
Yeah.
How I do it. That's a great question, babe, by the way. Put me on the spot like that. Yeah. Hey, listen. So how I do it, how I separate the responsibility from identity is simple for me because identity has to do with being, right? Being. Responsibility has to do with doing, right? To me, those are 2 separate things. Now, your doing can be your being. You hear me talk about that. When who you are becomes what you do, boom. Right. That's the magic, right? That's soul truth, right? But there's certain responsibilities that have nothing to do with who you are, right? I mean, you understand? Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's how I separate responsibility from being, right? It's some things I have to just take my feelings out of it. They have nothing to do with my feelings, have nothing to do with how I feel, my emotions, have nothing to do with my being. I have to get this done. I'm a provider, I'm a protector. So that's kind of how I do it, babe. That's kind of how I separate it, man. And the line I want you to hear, man, before we go to the next part, responsibility, I keep saying this, and identity are not the same thing with people. A lot of couples aren't disconnected from each other. They disconnected from themselves. So that's causing the disconnection, right? If I don't know who I am individually, I'm going to bring that into the relationship. Right. See, this is what Soul Truth Sunday does. So go back and check out that. I'm doing the series 4 Legs of Life. I'm talking about the identity. I'm just showing you that whatever you do individually, it's going to show up in your relationships with people. Right? So if you don't know who you are identity-wise, that's coming out in your relationships, right? So listen, babe, let's get to the next part, man. Let's talk about the guts of identity now, right? Let's talk about that. Core values, core beliefs, right? Calling, gifting, purpose. I talked about this on the Soul Truth Sunday from an individual, but it still shows up in your relationships,
you're
right?
Still an individual inside that relationship. Yeah.
So let's just talk about what actually makes you you. Like, tell the people some of your core values, core beliefs. Because here's the thing: you might have individual core values, core beliefs, right? That your partner might not necessarily value. Like me and you talked about, right? Yeah. I'm gonna explain.
Just so people can understand what we're talking about.
Okay, so like a core value of mine could be health. Right, mm-hmm. Right. Your partner might not really value health like you do, but that don't mean that they don't think it's important. Right. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by you can have a core value from an individual standpoint that your partner might not really see as a core value, but they think it's important. That's okay, good people. Right. So just talk about a little bit, because core values and core beliefs is make you who you are. Mm-hmm. So just talk about, like I said, from here, husband, wife, parent, those are titles. Right. So talk about how you had to start kind of understanding your own core values, core beliefs, even at this stage. And they might be a little bit different now than what they was when we first got married. Yeah.
I mean, well, of course, starting out, core values, were religion,
basically. Yeah.
You know, like, how do you now after coming out of that, how do you define core values? Well, I mean, I still think integrity is important, honesty, just relationally being there,
showing up with presence,
character. I mean, all of that's still there, but now it's just stripped away from feeling like I'm going to hell if I don't be those things.
Yeah, right.
I still want to be those things.
The fear ain't there no more.
The fear is gone. Yes. Yeah. So I mean, I feel like that's a big thing. Like, and starting from that point, and then, like you said, not being, not just seeing myself as a mother and a wife, but really expanding on those values.
Seeing yourself as a woman.
Right.
Like I tell people, you was a woman or a man first before a parent,
right,
before a husband. Like, who is that? That person is made up of core values, core beliefs. Your call, like me and my wife talk about, like we was talking about this the other day. I asked you, do you know what you're calling it? That's right. Part of your identity, like your calling, your gifting, your purpose. Like, do you know what that is from an individual standpoint? And then how do you bring that into the relationship?
Yeah, what does it look like as a couple?
Because you got to think about your relationship as a team, right?
Yeah.
Right? People always say there's no I in team, but there's an I in win, right? There's no team in pro sports that dumbs down their individuality for the sake of the team. No, you bring your individuality to the team and allow it to fit, right? With the greater goal of the team. Right? But you have to keep your individuality. So when we talk about identity, that's what we talk about. Core beliefs, core values, wifey touched on some character, truth, family, freedom, money, time. Those are core values, core beliefs. I always tell people this: your beliefs is nothing more than what your nervous system accepts as true. And your belief sets the precedent for your life. So talk about some of your core beliefs too that we kind of have, like I'm enough, that we had to change that.
Right.
You're still doing that. I'm worthy, I deserve it.
Right.
You know, you gotta have core beliefs, good people. People
you that core beliefs or belief in yourself.
Belief in yourself.
Right.
A core belief is something that you believe about yourself
right.
and the world around you. What are your core beliefs?
Right.
So you know, when couples stop growing individually, I wrote this down, the relationships start shrinking emotionally.
That's true.
When couples stop growing individually, right? Stop understanding their core beliefs, their core values, talking about their gifting, their calling, and how that can integrate into a relationship, then the relationship starts shrinking emotionally, right? You got to understand who you are as a person. And that's what our products do. Every product that we make, good people, it's going to help you walk through those patterns. Yes. Our 5R framework is going to help you recognize those patterns, right? Regulate your body through it. Get a new revelation, right? Build a rhythm around it so you can truly be you. Not just from an individual standpoint, so you can bring that authenticity to your relationship. So if that's you and you need to go deeper, email me, flthelifecoach@gmail.com, or email us, the Married Life 23 at gmail.com. THA, yeah, for your one-on-one soul truth power sessions, man. We can help. All right, babe, let's keep this thing going, man. This is good stuff. Man, I hope y'all getting something out of this. I hope y'all getting something out of this. I hope y'all getting something out. Hey, like, comment, share, man. Drop your comments below. How have you lost yourself in your relationship? What keeps showing up in your identity? Do you feel lost in what you? I see somebody join and like, just shout out, baby. So tell us, how do you feel in your relationship? Do you feel like you're losing yourself? What parts of you have you feel like have drifted that you need to tighten up that leg? That's what we. So listen, I wrote this down. So here's the shift now, good people. How do you build that identity when you lose it? When you attach your identity to the titles, to being a mother, a father, an entrepreneur. Man, my mouth, bro. So how do you build that? So, you know, like we talked about, couples, they got to keep individuality. So these are your steps, right? So these are your steps. How do you rebuild your identity together, right? Without damaging the relationship. So from an individual standpoint, you got to keep your individuality, your authenticity. So you got to understand who you are. You're going to be understanding yourself throughout the duration of your relationship, right? So what's the second thing, baby, they got to do?
Emotional safety allows authenticity.
Ooh, you want to break that down? You want to break that down?
You're better at breaking things down than I am.
Like we talked about the last one. Just think about it like this. Emotional safety, right? If your emotions have to have a safe place to land. So think about your emotions as energy in motion. Emotions is your energy in motion. So where's that energy landing? If that energy lands in a space that's being judged, that's being criticized, you think that energy wants to land there? So when we talk about emotional safety, right, allows authenticity, that's what we mean, right? Right? Your partner should create an emotional safe place for you to be yourself. No matter if that's the highest version, no matter if that's the lowest version. This is 27 years. Wifey didn't see me at all kind of stages, right? And so the next thing is what, babe?
Healthy relationships support identity.
Ooh, healthy relationships, right? Healthy. We don't even got to touch on that. That's pretty much self-explanatory, right? What do we mean by support? Supporting in the relationship, though, is not always trying to offer advice. It's not all.
True, yes.
So talk about that just a little bit, how I used to do that to you and that made you feel, and then you had to talk to me about, I don't need your help all the time.
Right. I mean, sometimes it's just about, just maybe putting it out there. Maybe just the person talking about it can help them even work through it themselves, even though they're talking about it to someone else. And it's not always that you're looking for a solution from another person, Again, sometimes it's like once you hear yourself talk to someone else about it, you can kind of get your own ideas on what to do. Just having that support to be able to say, okay, I just want to talk to you about this. I don't need anything from you. You don't have to, just let me know you're listening, but you don't have to like give advice. You don't have to tell me what you think I need to do unless the person is wanting that.
Yeah, no, that's real. And wifey got to check me on that. Y'all know, listen, I'm the communicator. Y'all know, we laugh about, but that's what I do. I just be like, just talk to me. Just talk to me. All right, man. What's the next latest statement? We almost done. Thank y'all for rocking with us this morning.
Real love doesn't erase you.
Oh, I'm going to touch on this a little bit. Yeah. Real love doesn't erase you. Real love encourages you to be more of who you are. Yeah. Real love encourages your identity to come out. Wifey's love doesn't make me shrink. Wifey's love doesn't make me conform to try to be something that I'm not. Right. Her love makes me want to be more who I am. You feel me? You should expand. Real love expands you, right? If you're in a relationship and you feel like you always got, go ahead,
That's tough.
That's tough. That ain't real love, good people. So, and then the last thing, real love reveals you. Right? It shouldn't erase you. Right. That's kind of running. It reveals you. Yeah. It should uncover who you really are because it's a safe place. Right? It's a safe place. So listen, man. This is the goal. The goal is not losing yourself in love. You hear people say, well, I lost. No, that ain't the goal. You don't want to lose yourself in love. The goal is becoming more of yourself through love. Man, that's for the people in the back. That ain't for the two people that's on here. That's for the people in the back, though. Listen. I will say that again. The goal is not losing yourself in love. The goal is becoming more of yourself through love. Love should expose more of who you are. Right? Yes. So listen, good people, man. That is the Married Life Live edition. We talking about identity. And of course, we can go, man. We can do hours.
This is a short version.
This is 27 years in. We just really want to touch on some basic points that most people lose themselves in relationships, especially in motherhood, fatherhood, especially with being providers, protector as men. I know I've kind of lost myself in that over 27 years. And I had to rediscover myself again. So we just gave y'all the sauce on kind of how to do that, right? And our 5R framework is going to help you do that with anything. Recognize the pattern. Regulate your body through it, right? Get a new revelation on what to do next, right? Build a new rhythm around that new revelation, right? And put it on repeat mode so y'all can fly together as a couple. Stop thinking that something's wrong with your relationship. Nah, your identity leg could just be loose. Right. And you gotta tighten it up. So listen, you don't need to go get into another relationship. You don't need another person, good people. You don't. Listen, the relationship with yourself and the relationship with your higher power is going to determine your relationship with everything else. Right. And that's part of your identity. When you tighten up your identity from an individual standpoint, you carry that over to your relationship. Right. Ain't that right, baby? That's right. This is my whole thing. Okay, got you. As you evolve throughout your marriage, do you think you need to change? Man, I gotta find this. Okay, find it. I'm gonna answer. Did you?
I don't know. We don't know what we do.
Look, we don't even know what we're doing.
I said,
right
do you
here.
need to change I think it said something about you need to change yourself in your marriage. Like as you evolve.
No, it ain't on there. I'm trying to find the question, good people, so I can answer it. Yeah, I'm trying to find it so I can answer it.
I thought that's where it showed at.
Me too. Chat view. Let me see.
We hit the wrong thing.
Good people, my bad. I hit the wrong thing. They got me out. Look, I'm trying to figure this out.
Question, like on our end, we can't see it.
Yeah, man. Look. I'm still trying to find what.
Just answer what you remember. Oh wait, is that it?
Hold on, let me see.
That's his feet. Oh my lord, that is. Oh, you know what I can do? I can look on my phone.
Yeah. Look on your phone.
I can read it on my phone. That's funny.
Bear with us, good people. Hey, look, bear with us, man. We gonna answer it. We gonna answer it live, y'all. We gonna get to it live. I want to answer it. Stay on it. I'm gonna answer the question. Yeah, man, wifey pulling it up right now. I want to answer this question. Right there. As you evolve throughout your marriage, do you think you need to change your identity for the better of the marriage? Identities, core values, core beliefs. So if your core values, core beliefs are going against the common goal of the marriage, yes, I would say you have to change that. Because remember, this is how we define identity, right? Core values, what do you value? Core beliefs, what do you believe about yourself and the world around you? And then your calling, gifting, purpose. So if you, it said, do you need to change your identity for the better of your marriage? Only if it's coming against or causing friction in your marriage. And I'm not talking about your gifting, your calling, or your purpose. I'm talking core values or core beliefs, right? Would you say that?
Yeah, and I would just say, I mean, if identity is your core values and core beliefs,
yeah.
Does that align with your partner?
That's
and
it.
if you are have a strong belief in your own, identity as in core values and core beliefs, you shouldn't have to change that for your marriage.
You shouldn't have to change
but it might evolve as you evolve.
Yes.
But I don't necessarily know that you would have to change it for the sake of your marriage.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. Because I've never had to change my core beliefs or my core values for our marriage, right? No. I had to change my thinking, right? Yeah. I had to change my emotional state.
Yeah, my responses. Other things you might, but like the actual core values, I would think that. I would say no.
No, yeah. See, guys, here's the thing. I always tell people, you're never going to see the world the same way, but you got to want the same things, right? So that's the thing. So like wifey said, no, unless your core value or core belief is something that's detrimental to you anyway, and you don't even realize it, and then you tell your partner, they're like, no, I don't believe that, or then you kind of talk about it that way. So I hope that answered your question. So,
and you can always email us too.
Yeah, email us too, man.
The Married Life, THA, marriedlife@gmail.com.
Yeah, man, we want to hear from you. So if it ain't no more questions, good people, that's this episode. And listen, until next week, and we going deeper because these are spinoffs of the 4 legs of life.
It's so hard to fit everything in 30 minutes.
Yeah. So go back and watch the last Soul Truth Sunday I just did about identity, right? From an individual. So for the next 3 or 4 weeks, I'm gonna be talking about it from an individual on Soul Truth Sunday, and then tell you how it shows up in the relationship, right? So next week, we're gonna be talking about the relationship leg, right? The one that you have with yourself and your higher power. So you don't want to miss that episode. So until then, man, y'all have a great Tuesday. This is the Married Life Podcast episode, baby. And we out.
Bye.
Dare to be you.